Ananda, then Denise.
Hey,
Hi there.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I have some technical questions. I was wanting to order some oils, and like the two oils I want to ask about are lavender and chamomile, because there's so many different kinds of them. And I don't, it's like, well, I don't know which one. I mean, I don't know
Well,
if there's a big
yeah,
difference or what.
they are a bit like more so in the chamomiles than the lavenders. Lavenders, it's a little bit like wine, like where like I have the Bulgarian and the French is so yada yada. It's a little bit like that.
Right.
Like some have like a higher note, some have a little bit of a lighter note, some are a little bit heavier. I mean, there are some differences, and but what? Tell me, what are you just going to use that for?
Just general,
Just general stuff.
yeah, just general.
Um,
Because
just regular Bulgarian or French would be good. If you want a little bit fancier, the Provence is the fanciest of the lavenders as far as like scent, and like it is like the super fancy French. Then like for more like kind of like spiritual practices, like for offsetting like kundalini syndrome and things like that, all of the lavenders work, but the high altitude lavender and the lavender out of Kashmir, which is also a high altitude lavender, are a little bit better for that. They're all the qualities of the lavender, the calming, relaxing, nervous tension, kind of cleansing, things like that. But different places, the lavenders generate like some slightly different colored pranas. We can look at it from that point of view. And most lavenders are a lot of violet with a little tiny bit of blue. But Kashmir and the high altitude lavenders, there's no blue prana in it at all. It's just this like really brilliant violet prana. And so it's very good for like cleaning the body, raising the vibration of the body. And so if you have like overheating issues with meditation practices, or, like doing Kundalini practices, it's a way to prevent Kundalini syndrome, things like that. Any of the lavenders work, but those work a little bit better. Then you have lavender malleate, and lavender malleate has a bit more blue prana in it. So out of all the lavenders, it's probably the most relaxing. And when we're dealing with like children, that's usually the one that I suggest is go lavender malleate, because it's like Valium for a kid. It's just like, it's really calming, soothing, sedating to a child like under like 5 or 6. After that, you treat them like kind of an adult. But under that, it just kind of knocks them out. And so if you're looking for relaxation, you might want to go the malleate route. Then to make it more confusing, there's lavendens, which are like kind of a lavender hybrid. And these are a little bit geared more towards like detoxifying, and they're a little bit better at taking out like body tension, like, that nervous tension. So the lavendens are kind of a little bit more specific to like muscular aches and pains, nervous tension. All of them will do it, but they're a little bit better at it as well. And then if you're not sure as well, you could also do the Lavender Supreme, which is basically all of them in one bottle. And so the Bulgarian, and we actually have a Ukrainian lavender. I think it's on the site. It might not even be on the site, but
I think it is, because I think I saw
so
it.
Ukrainian, Moldovan, and Bulgarian all are a little bit heavier in their scent. Like, it's just it's like a stronger, like a little bit greener scent, where like the French tends to be a little bit of a lighter, more like heady scent. And so a lot of times it's just kind of preference more than anything. That's why I go to the wine thing, where, I have friends that are medical aromatherapists, and they're like, I have 2018 French lavender and da 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 da, so much better than the 2019 lavender. Like, it can be a little bit like that. You know, it does what it does, but I mean, there are years where the stuff comes out smelling a little bit better. You know, there was one year where I think it was like 2015 or 14. The Bulgarian lavender smelled like lawn clippings. Like it didn't even smell like lavender. Like I don't know what happened to it, but I think it got some rain like real close to harvest. And I didn't buy Bulgarian lavender for like a year and a half. And so it still would work, but people would get turned off by it. And so any of them will work, but it's just like, what do you have? What strikes you more? Do you like a little bit like lighter scent, or you like a little bit heavier scent that's hitting you over the head a little bit more? I tend to use mostly in like things where we're doing blends and things. I tend to use more Bulgarian lavender than anything because it is a strong scent. It's very solid. You know, it's just like the tried and true lavenders. Like the two, like, I don't want to say premium, but the like go-to lavenders are French and Bulgarian, you know. And then other places are just like curiosities. Like I think we even have one from Greece. We got a bunch of different lavenders, so it can be confusing, but
Well, I just wonder why you have so many on the web. I mean, why would you have so many, you know?
it's a little bit of like, well, I like making the Lavender Supreme, and I'm just always curious of like, you know, I get a kilo or two of something, and I was like, I want to see what this smells like. I want to see what that smells like, and probably my personal favorite, like when I'm doing like deep treatment, is cashmere or high altitude. Like I really like those, but they're a little bit more expensive, and for the most part, like Bulgarian, like think of Bulgarian and French lavender as like the workhorses. Like I think of like the lavender Provence, you know, it's a little tiny bit more money, like a couple of dollars. Like it's like $4 or $5, maybe more a bottle. It's almost like perfume grade. Like it's got like really high note. It's just got a really defined scent. I mean, it comes from this little area in France. It's hard to get on. And then there is do we have the wild lavender, the Sauvage, on the site? To make it more complicated, there's also a Lavender Sauvage, which is like a wild lavender that is, again, it's a fancy lavender, not because of the therapeutics, because of the scent. You know, like if it was stronger therapeutics, I'd go, oh, this is the one that I get. It's really about what your nose likes. Mm-hmm. And if you're not sure, I just go Bulgarian or French to keep it not complicated. Now, with chamomiles, it's a little bit more defined. Again, what are you trying to use the chamomiles for?
I just was like, realized I didn't have any, and you always talk about them, Roman or what was the other one?
There's Roman, German,
yeah, Roman, German.
Cape, which is a South African chamomile.
Right.
Sometimes even blue tansy is referred to as Moroccan chamomile sometimes, but I like to call that tansy. And so here's what I would say about that. Like the Roman chamomile is very good for when you're treating a little bit more like emotional things. It's light. It's good for anti-inflammatory stuff when you're blending it with like helichrysum and Roman chamomile really go well together. You know, it's a good anti-inflammatory. It's like what you would use to stop like itchy skin and things like that. It has a physical component, you know, as far as anti-inflammatory and you know, diaphoretic, and helps purify the skin and things like that, along with chamomile. And it's soft. It's a real pleasant scent. Like it's even something we use on kids to treat like colic and even like the tendency for little kids to throw like fits and things. It can help in that. Like for adults, it doesn't work like that, but for little kids, it does. It's like, but it's that kind of soothing, right? Now, German chamomile is like the Marines hitting the beach, right? It's not quite the pleasant smell, but it's super anti-inflammatory. It definitely stimulates the immune system. It has an impact on white blood cells. It cleans up the body from the metabolic waste after like infection or inflammation, or when there's been an injury. When you put it on an area, like say you had an inflamed knee or shoulder or something, it will have an effect of dispersing the fluid so that the body can assimilate it a little bit better. Very, very good anti-inflammatory. Like when anything is red and heated or something like that, the German chamomile is much stronger. Over a long period of time, like if you're going to be using it for like treating something for several months, Roman chamomile would be better. Like German chamomile, again, is like the Marines hitting the beach. You use it for a while and then you stop. Roman chamomile you could use for a really long time. But the German chamomile, just because of what it does to the immune system and everything, you know, after 3-4 weeks, you give your body a break of like a week or two, and then you can go back to it. And so, you know, it's not, I find it very pleasant smelling, but it doesn't have quite the pleasant scent that like Roman chamomile does. And so it still has a good impact on emotional healing, but it's like you can sit longer with the Roman chamomile. And the thing that I like about the Roman chamomile a little bit more is it has a little bit of a resetting to the thymus in the chest, you know, tied to your immune system. And you know that organ, that gland can get like pretty agitated sometimes, and it does have a little bit of a reboot reset for that. And so yeah, Cape Chamomile is a little bit more of a specialty thing. Like it's probably more similar to Roman chamomile than German. It does have some slightly more anti-inflammatory properties, but Cape Chamomile can make you like expel like lower emotions a little bit easier. If you needed to do it. Like Roman chamomile is a little bit more soothing, and Cape Chamomile is a little bit more purifying. And so, you know, a time and a place for that. But like a good example is like the Blue Healer, you know, that blend Blue Healer. It's got German chamomile, yarrow, blue tansy, a blue cypress, and then it also has Cape Chamomile, because Cape Chamomile has a little bit of that blue tint in the oil, and that blue tint is a component called azulene in all the blue oils. It's azulene that makes it blue, and azulene is very anti-inflammatory. So like whenever you see an oil that has like that dark blue kind of tint to it, that's what it is. It's the azulene. Yeah. So.
Phew. Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate all that information. I probably will buy like more than one of each of them.
like if you're using it for like a workhorse, I'd probably go German.
German. Yeah, I got that. And
Yeah,
that's even what it sounds like. So
yeah.
like,
okay. I mean, it is a workhorse. But like, you know, like I'm trying to think of blends. You know the blend, I don't know if you remember from any of the classes, the pain relief psychogenic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a lot of helichrysum and a lot of Roman chamomiles in that. And so it's very soothing to the emotional body. It's very soothing for trauma. It's very soothing for and calming to the emotions in general. Calming and soothing to the nervous system. You know, even helichrysum, if you just put helichrysum on the spine, you know, it has an anti-inflammatory effect, but it also helps to loosen up the spine. different than marjoram, but it still will take some tension out of the spine, where marjoram will loosen the muscles up and allow the bones to move. The helichrysum will just take the tension out of the spine. And I would say Roman chamomile would be very similar.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the German chamomile, just to keep talking, the German chamomile is also very dark blue. And so like if you're doing it topically, it is a little bit messy. Like, you know, you get it, I mean, it washes off, but like when you put it on your skin, it's just blue goes everywhere.
Right.
So it's always good to put it in a little bit of a carrier so you don't look like a character out of Braveheart. You know, how they paint their faces blue before they go do something. Yeah, it can get a little messy.
Well, that's really helpful and just gives me more confusion, but I definitely will be getting some of them. And I just had one last question, which was the very first person that was asking about the gums. And I just wanted to know, how would you, I have to go back and look even what it was, the Cypress, would you do that in a couple of drops, gargle in water?
I would do both. Like I would do a couple drops in water. I mean, it's always good to just do as like a tonic. Like you could do Cypress every day for the rest of your life and you would be solid. Like it's well tolerated, it's easy to use, you could use big dosages of it. And so especially with Cypress, I'd probably do 4 or 5 drops in some water, you know, swish it around and then gargle. And then like in that particular case, you know, the gums being spongy, it's like when you push on them, they kind of go in a little bit, like it feels like you're pushing on a sponge, right?
Yeah.
And like even the teeth will start to loosen up, and the Cypress helps to firm the tissue up. And so I usually had people gargle, take a couple drops internally, and then take several drops and then rub it on the gums multiple times a day. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Like the rubbing on the gums multiple times a day. The internal once a day, the gargle once a day, but a couple of times a day, just rub it all over the gums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you
You're
so
so
much.
welcome.